Welcome back to Matt Chat, everybody. I am here with a really fun guest, and I cannot believe we timed this so well. Like, perfect episode. Sabiyah, season 45. How are you? Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so excited to get into it with you.
I'm excited to episode 3. I don't know, like I feel like every podcast I did Tyson episode 3. I think Brandon, I was on with him for an episode for like I think the third one. So it's kind of like an omen, but also like fun to have like this little period in the game that is like, well, day 7. That's me. I know a lot about day 7.
You
I
know
know
a
about
lot about
everything going
J7.
great on day 7, and then all of a sudden everything going bad. So I'm excited to get into this episode. This episode was crazy. I feel like it always kind of is. You got the swap coming early. You got primary
Mm-hmm.
players having big moves. So I'm excited
Yep.
to get into it.
Yeah, I think that there was honestly, I said a video, or I said in one of my videos, like, I feel like this is the worst episode of the season so far, but it was still a good episode. That's how you know the season is so strong because it is a great episode. And I
Mhm.
think the players are there to play. But I think we have to start off. I mean, we have to start off talking about your tribe mate, Emily Flippin. Emily Flippin, because
This
she
was
she's
Emily's
kind of the
episode.
star. Yep.
Yeah, no, Emily had, I don't even know, I'm sure that they're doing the confessional accounts and everything, so y'all can go look it up. But Emily had a primary role in this entire episode. Um, we really got a chance to really see like how she was thinking. She was playing the middle for a little bit. She has a lot of power, which of course, in my season, it took a minute for Emily to have, really like a say in what was going on.
Mhm.
And really feel like she had like that momentum, but right out of the gate, she's having all of that. And I'm really excited to see both her and Dee have momentum early. I feel like
Yeah.
Dee's not really a stranger to it, but with Emily getting a chance, it really makes my Lulu heart happy. So it was crazy. And seeing her with Christian
Mhm.
Ubicki as one of her like I know that he has Devins, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And they kind of like made her a third, but I really see Christian and Emily being like kind of like a duo almost throughout this episode. So that was cool to
Mhm.
see that dynamic too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Yeah.
there's a whole really this what happens with Emily, the reason why she's a central person here is because
Mhm.
of multiple decisions that were made, right?
For
For the first
sure.
decision that was made was Christian Hibicki and Rick deciding
Hmm.
to tell Sari and Emily about the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol because of the potential swap. And Christian decides, first thing, to ask Rick Devens, hey, do you want to say that you found it? And then Rick goes along with it, which I was kind of
Yeah.
shocked by that decision. How did you feel about that conversation?
I loved it. One Christian again, genius. Like, cause nobody is going to suss about Rick Devens finding an
Yeah.
idol at all, and not even Sari, who arguably has one of the greatest guts in this game. Like, her
Yeah.
game, as far as going to the end, it's like 90% intuition. Saying it's
Yep.
not challenges, it's not idols. She even said that her getting something this, particular like season was her first time ever having any type of advantage.
Yeah.
So usually she uses her intuition. So to come to Sari with any type of lie, it has to be something that's believable. So Christian, planting that and keeping the idol stank off of him or whatever was really cool. Because he doesn't want to seem as too much of a threat, even more than he already is. So
Yeah.
I loved it. What did you think?
Do you I so I'm kind of go back. I loved it. First of all, I loved
Yeah.
it. I think
Yeah.
I think it's a really fun thing with returning player seasons because players go in with the idea of the game already intact. They know what the
Hmm.
game is going to do to them mentally. They know what the game is going to do to them physically. And so they can think of these kind of like out of the box ideas and they really do hit the ground running. And I think that we see that
Hmm.
with this. I think we saw that with the idol being hidden at tribal council, which was crazy.
Right.
Um, and so I think that this is like the out of the box thinking that we get with returning player seasons because you're kind of playing with house money, right? You're like, I'm
Right.
here, I gotta make it good, I gotta make it big. And
For
I think that this
sure.
was a really interesting one because I don't know really who it's better for. Because I kind of think that there are pros and cons for
Hmm.
both Christian and Rick for this. Do you think it's better for Christian or do you think it's better for Rick, this decision?
I think that it's better for Christian early, and it could be better for Devon's late, depending
Hmm.
on like what is said and how long they can stay a duo.
Hmm.
Like if at some point it comes up that Devins needs to say, okay, that's not actually what happened, and plant Christian as a bigger threat than he actually
Hmm.
is. It could be, kind of like a reverse Uno card.
Mm.
But I feel like for right now, specifically with Suri and Emily, I know that eventually they didn't get a chance to tell Emily, but with those two types of players, Suri because of her gut, Emily because of her innate squirreliness, like you
Yeah.
have to have something that is going to sell easy. It's not hard to believe. There's no second guess. You know what I'm saying? So for right
Hmm.
now, good. For later, it could go either way for really both of them if they're put in the
Hmm.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're so right. And I think this is, it helps that are working so closely together. But I think that
Hmm.
this is also gives each of them ammunition against the other
For
one.
sure.
So
For sure.
obviously it looks like they're working together, but it's really like, oh, I could actually use this to burn you later down the line. So it's going to be
Yeah.
excited who gets who first.
I think that that's the coolest part. Like you were talking about earlier, returning players, and I think that that is the coolest thing. It's like watching them pre-merge. You know what everybody is capable of, but they still have to play the game. They still got to do show and tell. They still got to
Mhm.
do, hey, my name is so and so, and I this is, and they're still trying to create those relationships.
Yep. Yep.
So early on you see this type of show of good faith between those two, but at the end everybody's a gladiator
Yep.
and
Oh, I
everybody
love
wants to
that.
slice off the head and like show it to the crowd at the end of the
Yeah.
the match. So I don't know if it's just like them knowing how good they are and being like, okay, if and when this could become a problem, I know that I back myself and I can pivot
Mhm.
hard. Like I'm going to create counter evidence. I'm going to, lie. I trust my lying ability
Mhm.
also to outwit this situation. So I don't know. Both of them, if it was somebody else, I would be worried for them.
Mhm.
I'm not. I don't
Yeah.
feel like they are either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Now, why do you think Suri, because Suri, you're right. Suri has this incredible gut and she is so good in social situations and reading
Hmm.
people and all this stuff. Why do you think that Suri believed this lie? And we even saw in confessional that she believed this lie. So it wasn't like she was acting. She
Yeah.
believed that Rick found this idol. So why do you think that is?
Proof is in like one, the proof is in the pudding. She has this alliance with both of them.
Mhm.
Christian, he sold it. He was like, what, girl, what? You know what I'm saying? Like he had all the expressions. It was timed perfectly too with the swap coming up. That's a lot
Mhm.
of the times that's when information kind of like surfaces from the deep. When you
Mhm.
know that there's going to be a change in the game where you could end up, on a tribe at a disadvantage. Um, and it's Rick Devens. So that's another thing. Having return players, it would be like if Russell Hantz told you that he has an idol. Are you saying like, Rush, you ain't got no
Yeah.
idol? If
Yeah.
Tony tells you you have an idol, he has an idol. He has a freaking idol. Like
Yeah.
so. I don't feel like Sari, with all of her Survivor experience and knowing everybody that's played. I mean, she's played so many times. I feel like she just accepted it at face value, and she's
Yeah.
not really in a position to not believe them either. Like
Mhm.
Tari, her position, I mean, she's been on the losing tribe, up until this point. She was on the chopping block early on. So she really is having to like believe her alliance and like ride with them until she has another boat. I feel like right now she doesn't have one.
Right.
So even if, like having any suspicion really wouldn't be good for her mental right now anyway, too.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
like, cause
that's true.
like where else is she gonna go? So
Right.
yeah, I feel like she was right to believe them, or at least right to, just commit to the bid.
Yeah. Yeah, I also think, you know what, I think it really helps that it
Hmm.
is a different idol. It's not a typical idol. And so
Yeah.
why the big thing here I think is like number one, it's Rick Devens. So him finding an idol, like you said, makes
Yeah.
sense. But also it would be so crazy for
Billie
her
Eilish,
to,
boom.
yeah, for her to come up with this like Billie Eilish boomerang idol.
Yeah,
And like it's a crazy thing to know. So I feel like, it just makes a lot of sense that she didn't question it. And also because, Christian was acting up a storm. We know that he gets away with it because he acted up a storm
right,
at tribal the night before.
for
Um,
sure.
yeah, so that whole interaction I just felt was so interesting, and I'm very excited to see. I think that Christian's and Rick's dynamic is so fascinating, and their alliance is so fascinating because they're depositing moves, and
Mm,
those moves are like they're in there, and we know that they're possibly going to make big moments. They're big moments now, but then there might even be bigger moments down the line. The idol
a
at
hundred
tribal council
percent.
is going to be a crazy big move, a crazy big moment. If
Yeah,
Suri finds out that that was a lie, that'll be a big moment. So I think
for
it's very
sure.
interesting. I feel like they're depositing these big moves that are, in a couple of episodes could blow up and be great television.
Right. Even them deciding to send the idol to who they decided to send it to. Huge. You know what I'm saying?
Huge.
Like, um, yeah, I agree with everything that you
Yeah.
said, but I
Yeah.
was just saying, like, even with that, it's like that I already know sets the stage for the game
Hmm.
post merge because like it was Aubrey, right, that they ended up
Yep.
sending it to. So it's like, and that's already kind of like starting a ruckus on her
Yep.
tribe, but also Aubrey, arguably one of the best returners as far as like
Hmm.
strategy and getting to the end. I was really excited to see Aubrey back this season, and I really, honestly, she's the top of my bracket personally. Um, but yeah, her having an idol like week one is
I know.
crazy. And it coming from
It's crazy.
Christian, it just kind of like if they can get to the point where they get together and she can get that information as to like where it came from, them as a duo is like survivor heaven as a fan.
Yeah.
Like I would love to see Aubrey and Christian working together. That is like
That is
my
so real.
yeah, that's a wet dream for most of us fans. So I'm excited for all of it.
Yeah. And you know what? You also bring up a good point. Another thing that makes it believable to Suri is that
Mm,
Rick sent it to Aubrey, who he has played with. They were on a
yeah.
season together. So it's another
Hmm.
thing that makes it even more believable that Rick found it. So really
For
laying
sure.
the groundwork here.
And I think Christian said that too. He was like, it's not, it's gonna make him seem too strategic too early. Because
Hmm.
sending it to Aubrey made sense for him too. But at
Hmm.
the same time, it makes more sense for Rick to just do it as a friendship thing, and Suri is gonna believe that. So yeah, like I know that Suri is believing the lie, but they gave her a
They
really
gave her,
good
it's not her fault.
like,
It's not her
no,
fault.
it's not her fault at all. It's not her fault at
Yeah.
all.
Not her fault at all. Now, they did want to tell Emily. There is receipts. There are receipts. They wanted to tell
Yes.
Emily, but they could not get Emily by herself. She was
Yes.
with Ozzy, or she was just around camp with other people, and then they had to
Hmm.
leave. So there was no time. But then we go to the tribe swap, where we get the infamous rap. Sabaya, what are your thoughts on the rap?
Uh, girl, my thoughts on the rap are at first eye roll and then laughter. Of course, like Jeff, I mean, we don't know how long. I mean, personally, I know that Jeff would love to, be a host for the entirety of the show.
Mhm.
But Jeff is older and the show is at 50 seasons. And I really feel like that he's just really sending it this season, trying to give the fans as much of his personality that we know as contestants. Um, and so it was kind of like hilarious in that way. Like I just kind of busted out laughing. I didn't realize that it was actually like kind of leading up to the swap until, the end. So I missed most of it from laughter, but it was cute and gimmicky, but also Jeff can be kind of corny at
Yeah.
times. So it was pretty like, I guess, on brand. Like
I I I kind of liked it. Like, not
Yeah.
like in a, like I'm gonna put this and listen to this like on repeat. Like I'm gonna go on Spotify and listen to this. Like I didn't like it
Right,
like
like
that.
download it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go download it, but I thought it was a very different moment. We don't usually get
Yeah.
things like that, and I think people were comparing it to Chicken and Waffles, like the song that they did in '48 that he like
Mm.
made everybody the chant fried chicken and waffles or whatever it
Oh
was.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and I think that that was way worse than the rap because the rap was like thought out. The rap
Yeah,
was mean like he meant to do it. It wasn't like this weird moment that he made everyone be involved and I mean everyone had to snap, but it was just his
yeah.
thing. I thought it was silly, goofy fun.
It was.
Apparently in exit interviews, Q said it was way worse on the island.
Girl, I know. I mean, there's no way it was first take one, which is kind of funny to think about. But also, too, like Jeff, he does have like a dad type of
Yeah.
vibe now, you know. So I assume that it probably came across as a dad joke. But I will say that the funniest part, or like the most fun part about it, was to watch Coach and Genevieve and everybody like just like really getting into the snaps and like laughing. That was the best part to me. Like even Tiffany and everybody, like they were loving it. You could tell they were eating it up. But after a week of no food, no entertainment, no nothing, like giving them something to talk about and kind of like lift their spirits, I really appreciated
Yeah, absolutely. That's so real. But he announces a swap. He announces the
that.
tribe swap with the rap. And
Right.
in that moment, Christian decides, he goes, I gotta tell Emily, I gotta tell Emily, we don't know what's gonna happen. So he whispers over to Emily. And for those who are
I'm
listening to the
sorry.
podcast, you're not watching, I just want you to know Sabiyah had to take a moment. She had to take a moment.
Oh, I loved this so much. I loved
Why?
this
Why
so
did you
much.
love this moment?
Okay, so we talked about it, but having played with Emily and having made this very mistake of not telling Emily information when I got it and seeing how that ended up for me, I knew immediately when he said that that he had made a very, very missed calculation. Like, because of course, normally, especially like when Emily looked and like stared off into the distance, like did that little calculation look and was just like, what? And of course, she's talking in her confessional, like, why would he wait to the last minute? Emily is the type of player that if you don't include her early, she automatically is like, you, I'm not your number one. So therefore, I need to figure out another boat. Like we saw it in
Mm,
Lulu, where I told her about my idol super late, even though I had already made it the idea to get out Caleb, she didn't trust me inevitably because I told her about my idol last. Even though we didn't have a connection in the beginning of the game, she still looked at that as having seen it late. You know what I'm saying? So I knew with Christian, like they had a connection. She said that she wanted to work with him. There really wasn't a reason why she didn't get told outside of just not having an opportunity. So I knew that was gonna blindside her for sure. And also it being Christian, he's so good. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? So if he's telling me that late, it's like, man, like I'm trusting a lion, like I'm trusting a
mhm.
big dog. So Emily, you know, being someone that hasn't played as much or as long, you know, um, I could see that being a really, really big mistake for Christian
Yeah,
and him not even being the wiser, like not really knowing her because they've never played together before.
right.
So the rest of the way that it played out, I was not surprised because, you know, Chaos Cass ain't got nothing on Chaos Emily at all. Like,
chaos, chaos,
self-preservation to the
Emily.
T. Chaos
Yep.
Emily, like she, and once she feels like she's on the bottom, it really doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? She's
Yep.
like, all right, well, every piece of information that I have is now an asset for me and my game. And now I'm just going to kind of put my feelers out there, be a free agent, and see who's going to
Hmm.
pick me up, and then ultimately decide what's best for Emily. So
Hmm.
that's what we saw that happen after, you know, she hit the beach. Now she's coming to Angelina. You know, now
Yep.
she's coming to, she's pouring, spilling the beans with everybody. Um,
Yep.
it was really kind of great to watch as far as like gameplay though, because they weren't even the wiser of her even spilling their beans. She had to go and
No.
tell on herself. That just, I mean, can we just, because that really shows how Emily be under the radar and she be having one-on-ones
Yeah.
with people and you don't even know. Like a lot of people were like, oh, how did you not know that she was going to vote with Caleb? I didn't know that her and Caleb were talking together. Like I didn't see them
Hmm.
go off. I didn't see those one-on-ones. And I feel like this really shows how good of a player that Emily is. If she doesn't want you to know that she has a connection with somebody, you're not even going to see it.
Yep. Yep. I think that's so real. And I think, Emily, like her, what happens here where she tells everybody, you're right. It was a very also avoidable moment because I think that they both panicked. Emily
Yeah.
panicked, but Christian also panicked because
Yeah.
Christian said this before he found out what was going to happen, before
Yeah.
they started, like, when it's a tribe swap, you can go over to your new, mat and see who's on your tribe, but also you can
Hmm.
say goodbye to people, hug somebody, and,
Right.
figure it out afterwards. And I feel
Uh-huh.
like, he kind of also jumped the gun that, he didn't have to say it. And then he finds out that, oh, we're actually together. Then you can go back to
Uh,
the beach and say, hey, I've been trying to tell you this all day. It's so nice to have a moment. Here's this information and say it fully. But that did not happen. But you know what? I'm glad it didn't because it was great TV.
I agree. And then also, like, you have to take into account the lockdown. Like, I know like what they show is like you can talk, you know what I'm saying? But like the
Mm-hmm.
times when you're moving in between, sometimes you're not allowed, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know necessarily for obviously like I've never made a merge or a swap. So I don't know if it's locked down when you're getting your buffs and when you're doing your reaction, if
Mm,
you're allowed to actually converse, or if
interesting.
it's just genuine reactions between you to Jeff, those are always okay. Like when you're standing on the mat at the barge, like you're not allowed to talk back and
Right.
forth to each other. You're allowed to interact with Jeff and you're allowed to kind of just have, natural emotions. So I imagine maybe that's also something that was on Christian's brain. Like,
Mm,
okay, clearly there was lockdown before I could tell her at our beach,
yep.
So now there's the ride on the boats on the way there, anxiety building, the walk, on the trail
Yep.
to get to the mats, anxiety building. Then you find out that you were right. This is quite frankly the worst case scenario. You are you are switching
Yep.
today. So at that point, he's at a 10 and he's like ready to pop, so I can
Mm-hmm.
kind of empathize with him kind of jumping that gun because there's a possibility that he wasn't going to be with Emily and he wasn't going
Mm-hmm.
to get another chance to whisper
Yep.
it like how he did. So I, ultimately they end up on the same track.
Yep. You know, I
But that
empathize
is
with both
like
of them.
so lucky,
Yep.
like that is
So
so
lucky
lucky.
or unlucky. I don't know. I kind of
Right.
empathize with both of them in this moment, because
Mhm.
also Emily, because there's also the lockdown afterwards when you're going back to the beach. And when this
Yes.
happened, in my head, I was like, why didn't Christian just pull Emily immediately after when they get to the beach and explain?
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
also a world in which one of them gets pulled on a walk and
You
maybe,
can tell she got pulled immediately.
yep. And so maybe they
Yeah.
can't. You know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
you have all of these like production things that really, because,
Hmm.
you know, you can't talk to other people, but you're still playing the game in your head. And,
Exactly.
the more you sit with information, the more you think about it and you're like, oh my God, worst case scenario, you're
Exactly.
spiraling. And then all of a sudden you can act on it. And so you just start acting on it. And so I
Exactly.
empathize with both of them. Like, let's be real. Emily doing that, like, I kind of get it. I kind of get it.
Yes. And then she is Emily. Like after everything, like, because I would have been freaking out too. And then I'm Sabiyah, but Emily is also Emily.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So you come into her, she already plays with kind of a wild card energy. And
Hmm.
she's like more like used like her last time playing. She was betrayed by an alliance. She was lied to. She was used at times. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yep.
like that that can't be her story for this time. If
Right.
anything, she's like, I'm playing for myself. I'm going to make sure that I'm making big moves and I'm not about to be anybody's puppeteer at all. So that red flag that got raised by Christian ultimately was like her biggest trigger too.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
So the
Emily
rest of the
flipping.
rest of the episode, yeah, like I'm telling you, Emily be flipping out. Like, like at the rest of the episode was so entertaining though, but it
Yep.
was just like, ooh, honestly, like I know we were talking about whether or not it was lucky or not. I think that them ending up on the same tribe for Christian is the best
Hmm.
case scenario
Hmm.
because now, even though she told the rest of the tribe,
Hmm.
um he can still be a part of that, and
Yeah.
she can still come to him and be like, my bad, I was freaking out, understandably. They can have their moment, mend their little alliance or whatever,
Yep.
and then the next time there's a swap or whatever, it's not open ended. Had she ended up on another mat after that situation,
Mm.
it's done. Like
Yep.
she would have told everybody over there, that would have been her ammunition to know that Aubrey has an idol,
Yep.
and it would have been a completely different game going forward. So I'm glad for Christian's game that Emily, even though she did blow it up, it
Yep.
was at least a contained, situation. Like in the
Hmm.
military, we have like contained explosions and stuff like that. I feel like it was more of a contained explosion than it was
Yeah.
like a straight up nuke.
Yeah.
So yeah, on certain levels, crisis averted.
I totally get that. Now,
Yeah.
I want to ask you, how do you
Hmm.
feel about honor and integrity in the game of Survivor, and what do you think about this alliance that we're seeing form of Colby, Coach, Chrissy, and Joe? What is your thought on this?
Okay. I'm gonna be very tactful when I say this because for those that don't know, like I'm an active duty Marine, right? And honor, courage, and commitment are our core values. Those are three things that we, like you see it on all the walls and all the buildings. There's different things that we have, like moral integrity and things like that. So these are things that are near and dear to me as well, as far as like my warrior ethos. Like I understand where Coach is getting his bag from. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? However, Survivor is a battleground. Okay? Like, and if you are at war with somebody, those rules they are
Yeah.
not the same. Like, we do have the code of conduct and stuff like that, but that's like worst case scenario. You about to be a POW and like you're going
Hmm.
balls to the wall. Like, in when it's the enemy. Just like how he grabbed the key from Ozzy, he didn't have no problem with grabbing the key in the beginning, but now all of a sudden, and Coach has kind of always been one of those people to me, which is why I feel like he was on the villain tribe. He says integrity, integrity, but his game kind of doesn't necessarily reflect that of a hero.
Yeah.
So I felt like it's interesting. He doesn't have the, cowboy, boy next door persona that Kobe does, and he
Hmm.
doesn't have the moral, police officer, thing that Joe has. But he still sees
Hmm.
himself as having those types of connections with them. Um, I don't know. I feel like it makes the game boring. I will say that. I feel like great players like Ozzy and even Coach go out sooner than they would if they would just allow themselves to just play the game. Outwit
Hmm.
means lie. I know
Yeah.
like people don't like to feel like it does, but it's a synonym for lie.
Hmm.
Outsmarting somebody usually means manipulation. It usually
Hmm.
means lying or withholding the truth. So I'm not saying go out there and be Johnny Fairplay, but I
Hmm.
am saying give people the opportunity to really reach their full potential as far as strategy and gameplay. Like it's
Yeah.
human chess. You tripping.
Yeah. It is. It's human chess. And here's the thing, like I've said this before on other podcasts. People are probably sick of me saying this, but I think there's a difference between playing a loyal game and trying to play an honorable game. I think it is
Mm,
possible to play a loyal game of Survivor. I think it is possible,
yes.
and it has been done before, and people have
Yes.
won because of playing a loyal game on Survivor. I would say
Right.
Dee played a pretty loyal game on Survivor.
Reba
Kim
Ford. Exactly.
Spradlin,
Yes.
Kyle played a loyal
Kyle and
game.
Camilla. Exactly.
Exactly. Playing
Exactly.
a loyal game is totally fine. Saying you're playing an honorable game with integrity just makes the people who are burned by you, because somebody is going to get burned by you. That is the name of the game. You're voting people out
Hmm.
for $1 million. People will get burned. Um, but so it just makes the people who get burned by you more bitter, because they said, wait, you were supposed to be playing an honorable game, and yet you did this to me. You lied to me. But then they go, oh, but I was loyal to my people. Okay, well then say you're playing a loyal game. Don't say you're playing an honorable
Exactly.
game, because
Exactly.
one is possible and one is impossible, in my opinion.
Impossible for me. I agree, because like if you have certain values, like for me, I'm a big family oriented person. So there are certain like things like between me and my brothers and my mom and my dad where it's just like I'm loyal to them to a
Mm-hmm.
fault. You know what I'm saying? Even if they could be quote unquote in the wrong, I'll
Mm-hmm.
still have their back in certain situations, because at the end of the day, that's my brother, that's my mama, that's my dad. You know what I'm saying? So loyalty doesn't necessarily also mean righteous. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? So there you can play that line. Um, but in Survivor, there's never going to be a path to the end where you did everything 100% in a righteous tense. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that we have, fans and players alike that come from solid backgrounds, have a lot of moral integrity. If that is going to be a issue for you, I don't recommend playing. I really don't.
I totally.
Because I talk to people all the time and they're just like, man, like I couldn't play Survivor because I'm not a good liar. And I'm like, yeah, man, like don't. Because it will come to the point where you will have to like withhold the truth at least. You might not have to flat out lie to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
but you will have to think about, okay, how is this information or how is this person
Mm-hmm.
going to affect my game?
Yeah.
Like, period. So yeah, I don't agree with making it a thing, like even in old school Survivor where like you had kind of like these cultish alliances that
Yeah.
would emerge, and they would all be like nothing against, Christianity or whatever. They would all be like praying together and like moving in this type of way. It was such a different type of
Yeah.
feeling, and I would be
Yeah.
like, okay, like what happens when we gotta vote somebody out? Then
Yep.
what?
Yeah.
Fire is your
Then what?
life.
Then
Then
what is
what?
exactly right.
Then all y'all gonna be mad. So I would rather just not even make the empty promise of it.
Yep.
Like just like how Coach said, well, I didn't say, that I wasn't gonna go for the key. It's like, okay, you right, you didn't. But overall, you knew what Ozzy thought in
Mm-hmm.
that moment. You know what I'm saying? So you're kind of playing devil's advocate. I would
Yep.
rather it just be like, look, every man for himself, and we can shake hands at the end of the game, and that's it.
Yeah.
Sportsmanship
Yeah.
over loyalty. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I totally get
Sportsmanship
that.
over, righteous morality,
Yeah.
whatever.
I totally get that. I totally get that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the thing with the key would even be a thing. Like we wouldn't even be talking about this if he didn't bang the same drum that he used to bang. Now, let me just
Right.
say, I say all of this. I think Coach is great TV and I don't want him to
Me
change.
too.
Like
Me
I don't
too.
want him to
I
change.
don't exactly. Me neither. Me neither. Because you have to have big characters. Like
Yeah.
Q, for instance. I know we'll get into
Oh,
him at the end, but like the reason why we adore Survivor, or at least for me, I've been watching this show since I was 5, is people seem larger than life.
yeah.
Sandra putting Russell's hat in the fire. Like Sari getting Eric to give up his necklace. Like having the catchphrases that it's like, how did they even come up with that? Like, you can't
Yep.
beat him with these, but you can always beat him with this. Like, these are words that we live by. And
Yep.
so the Dragon Slayer, even though it was always kind of comical, in like kind of like the same arm as like a Philip or a
Hmm.
Cochrane, like just like all of these isms, it's like,
Yeah.
who is this guy and what does he do in his regular life? I hope he's exactly the same, because I would definitely want to have a beer with Coach
Yep.
and it would be great.
I
Ben
agree.
Katz is another one.
Yes,
Like,
I love
just
Ben.
larger than life. It's like, of course you're a rock
Exactly.
star.
Yes,
Like, what else
exactly.
were you gonna
Exactly.
do? So
Now,
yeah, I don't want him to change either.
I don't want him to change at all. And we do actually see a couple of things, and Coach is involved in one of these moments,
Hmm.
2 moments this episode, where we find people, 2 women, Angelina and Chrissy, find
Right.
out that what they thought was going on wasn't exactly what they thought was going on. So what Chrissy
Yeah.
finds out is that she was talking too much or being too much or whatever, and that if they had gone to tribal council, it probably would have been her. And so we see her go through that, and
That
the
was
way,
rough.
and that was rough. And then we also see that Emily goes to Angelina, and Emily says, "Hey, I just heard that if you guys had gone to tribal council, Q and Stephanie said it probably would have been you." And Angelina also has to go
Yeah.
through that, as well. So I
Right.
think that it's interesting because we also have people on this season, Emily being one of them, who
Mm-hmm.
had to also go through hearing that
Yes.
from Caleb and say, "Oh
Yes.
wow," like being taught. So what did you think about those two moments? And how do you think that was handled by both the person saying it and the person receiving it?
Okay. So obviously, Coach, his delivery was not amazing, at least in my opinion, to Jenny. But it needed to happen. And
To
sometimes
Chrissy, to
I feel
Chrissy.
like, or to Chrissy, I'm sorry. But it needed to happen. And I feel like he did it in the best way that he could with his personality, delivery wise. He was, but he kind of called her like a chatty Cathy, a yapper, and kind of
Mm-hmm.
labeled her as like annoying. When I feel like he should have been more forthcoming and been like, "You're trying to mother the group.
Mm-hmm.
You seem to be making decisions for everybody." Like, instead of just kind of saying, like, "You talk a lot and it's annoying." That's
Mm-hmm.
not, at least to me, it kind of showed that Coach didn't really peep the vibe like how he thought he was peeping it. Because if you saw
Mm-hmm.
in everybody's confessional, it was what she was saying. It was not necessarily that she was talking so much. She was being
Mm-hmm.
bossy and she was being direct. And then on the other hand, with Angelina, I loved that period. I love Angelina. Natalie is like a verbal stem for my friends all the time. Can I have your jacket? But I don't want to see Angelina go out just because it's early and she just happens to, be the weaker person in the challenges or whatever. I really want to see her get, legs and, see what her game would look like going deep into this type of terrain. And Emily obviously probably had a lot of empathy for her,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
seeing that she was on the bottom and getting the information, knowing that her stuff is not necessarily, at least in her brain, as solidified with Christian as she thinks. I'm sure she
Mm-hmm.
saw herself as a Caleb for her, and just
Yeah.
being like, "Look, I'm just going to be the person that I needed in 45 and
Mm-hmm.
just tell her straight." And she ripped that band-aid off so quick.
Yes, she did. Yes, she
And
did.
Angelina was like, I mean, it was very blunt, but I'm glad that she said it. And look, I'm gonna dry my eyes and be like, "Okay, girl, thank you so much." And
Mm-hmm.
both of them handled it very well. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like with Chrissy, she was just like, "You know what? Like, a girl that's been through cancer, like, I damn sure ain't gonna, get out because of this." And
Yeah.
Angelina was just like, "Thank God for Emily. Like, it hurts to hear it, but I would
Yeah.
rather know it and be a little bit sad by myself and then turn it on than go home not having seen the plot."
Yep. Yeah,
So,
exactly. Exactly. And
yeah.
I think, in both cases, we also see something interesting happening. Well, it's kind of different in both. In the case with Chrissy, she clearly takes it hard. But you know what
Hmm.
she doesn't do? She doesn't go to Coach and Colby to be consoled. She says,
Right.
let's have a girls' talk. And so she talks with Aubrey and Genevieve to be
Love.
consoled. And so in this moment, obviously, Coach is trying to help her and trying to keep her
Hmm.
stay in the keep her in the game. But the people that Chrissy wants to talk to, that Chrissy feels safest with, are the women who are not
Right.
included in this honor and integrity alliance. And so I feel like that was a very interesting outcome. I don't know if they're an
Hmm.
alliance. I don't know if it may be just a human moment where she just needed to be around women,
Yeah.
but I do think that that was a very interesting outcome for this information.
I agree. And I mean, maybe she's just trying to have as many connections, as possible. I mean, I know that in that moment, she was obviously kind of like losing her control. Like,
Right.
she had like a 1,000-mile stare, and I don't remember if it was Genevieve or who, like, kind of
I
like
think
was
it
like,
was
"Hey, girl, you
Genevieve.
okay?"
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, those moments, even though genuine, can ultimately become collateral, down the road, and like
Yeah.
can be like the solidifier for an alliance down the road. So hopefully it's not just an emotional moment for her.
Hmm.
Hopefully it's something that becomes a foundation that helps her move forward and get a little bit more leverage in this game. Because right
Absolutely.
now I feel like she's just kind of a number, and she
Yep.
needs to be, a player. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I also think so. Another interesting outcome
Hmm.
is with Emily and Angelina.
Yeah.
Almost, it's almost as if the what I'm calling a crash out, which isn't really kind of a crash out, but
Yeah.
it's like
It was a crash
Emily.
out. It was a crash out, girl. Like it was like a 3 point crash out. But at the same time, though, there was not one decision that she made that really affected Emily's game super negatively. And I'm
Yeah,
I'm saying that because it's like, okay, boom. She has the moment, and then she tells, who did she tell first? I think it
she tells
was
Q, I think, first.
Q.
Q and
Yeah,
Ozzy,
Q.
maybe.
Right. So she goes to Q, she tells him. That is actually a great move for Emily if she's trying to swing to their side, right?
Yep.
Q, he's a very braggadocious player. He's the type of person that you tell him information and that is his game. If you're bringing Q stuff, he's loyal to you. So that's a great decision for her. But then it's like, okay, she's not really feeling like she's a part of the alliance. That's their error. Q and Stephanie, after she told them this, it was like they didn't really allow her to drive the decision, which is necessary for a player that feels like they're on the bottom that just brought you, information. So that's what started causing her the doubt. So then she swings back over and goes and tells Christian, I feel like I've made an error. No, she talks to Angelina.
Hmm.
She talks to Angelina next, right? And so Angelina is on the bottom of the now lesser alliance, right? Because if she's gonna go with Q and Stephanie, she's their what, fourth,
Yep.
right? So that puts them at the majority, and now Angelina would be at the bottom of
Yep.
Christian and Mike, right? So she goes to the bottom of the other alliance, solidifies a connection with her,
Hmm.
and then starts to rethink, like, oh, well, maybe I'm at the bottom of the other three. That's not good for me. Let me make sure that I can still play both sides, and then goes to Christian. So
Yeah.
that is a 3 point calculated move. That's why I was like, Emily was really like, I mean, in her bag, bases loaded, like, and
Yeah.
hit. She was sending them out of the park
Yeah.
because even though it seemed to be irate in the method that it was coming out, it still kept her above water the whole
Yep.
time, which to me was brilliant. I
Yeah.
like I loved it. I loved it.
And I think that she realized that it was a mistake,
Yeah.
but the mistake almost, I think, will help her game in the long run because I do think that she has now solidified because she would not have gotten the information that Angelina was on the outs if she
Mm-hmm.
hadn't talked to Ozzy and Q and also
Right.
Stephanie. So if she
Mm-hmm.
hadn't talked to them, she wouldn't know. She wouldn't have the information that Angelina was on the outs also at the old tribe. Not that they want her
Right.
out now, they also wanted her out before. And then so when she talks to Angelina, she can go to Angelina with this information and be like, hey, here's this information that I have. And Angelina is like, but now Angelina trusts her. Now Angelina is like, oh, you have my back. You're telling me this
Right.
stuff. And so then that solidifies a relationship with Angelina. And then she already has a solidified relationship with Christian. Christian also, obviously, he gets upset in a confessional, but to
Yeah.
Emily, which I told that's so real.
That
That
was
was such a
so
real confessional.
oh man, that was so hilarious. I knew he was pissed. But
He
I mean,
was
of
pissed.
course,
As she
rightfully
would be.
so.
Yeah, as she would be.
But him seeing him's mannerisms angry was hilarious and
Yep.
priceless. I loved seeing him like, what? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that have been in, alliances with Emily that have, been the
Hmm.
recipient of like a move like that. And you're just like, wait, what? Like I was with you, or
Yep.
why didn't you trust me, or whatever. And hey, I don't know, but it was cool to
Exactly.
watch.
It was cool to watch. Now, I
Yeah.
want to talk about the other person that you shared a season with. I want to talk about
Mhm.
Dee for a moment because
Yeah.
we saw a little bit about Dee this episode where she and Jonathan were talking about getting out Sari. What do you
Yeah.
feel about this? Like, do you think this is a good move for Dee or do you think this might be a bad move for Dee?
Okay. Now, I love my girl D. Like, for me, best winner of the new era, right?
Hmm.
And D is like, she plays like the girl card, but she also is a bro. So
Hmm.
that middle, like everybody's gonna be. You see her with Jonathan this season. It seems like they have a lot of relationship, and she's doing really well. It seems like
Hmm.
she's not really having any issues floating in the middle as D will.
Hmm.
However, coming for Suri, if you don't miss. That's
Yeah,
all
don't
I'm
miss.
gonna say. It's just one of those things, like, it can turn so quick and then boom, you're gone. Like, we just saw it with Jenna,
Jenna,
right?
yep,
Like, she was coming, I misspoke earlier because I was thinking about this, but she was coming earlier and just thinking that, oh yeah, Sari, of course. She's not good at challenges, da 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 da. The same thing that everybody always says when they thinking about getting Sari up. But
yep.
what they don't take into account is that Sari is one of those loyal players that we're talking about earlier.
Hmm.
Sari is loyal to a fault. We've seen her lose Survivor because of loyalty multiple times, in my
Hmm.
opinion. But also Sari knows how to get to the end. People
Yep.
trust Sari as kind of like an oracle figure when it comes to Survivor. Like, she knows how to plan your steps very well. So going in a duo or going in a quartet, with Sari, top tier. And
Yep.
also bucket list item for most people too. So working against her this early for D,
Hmm.
I don't think it makes sense at all. I didn't think it made sense for Jenna either, with her being old era, with
Yeah.
them both being women. I feel like they had more in common and could like align more than, it was like a reason for her to get her out.
Right.
But so I feel the same way about D. I'm like, look at the similarities. You guys are both, women. You guys are both, strong players, people that have big targets on you, because D is not by any means a small fry in this
Right. No.
batch of people. So ultimately think that it's going to be a mistake,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Um, but that's just because of the track record of Sari. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just I haven't seen D necessarily navigate being a target for real. Like, even
Hmm.
during our season, D wasn't even. She was a target with Katora,
Hmm.
um, maybe one or two other people brought up Dee's name the whole season, but it
Yeah.
really wasn't. She was not a target. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Suri has a lot of skin in the game, being a target and hitting the matrix like
Yeah.
like, and coming out and actually going, like, I'm talking 2-3 rounds deeper, not the
Hmm.
next tribal council, than she was supposed to have, been the
Right.
first time her name came up. So I will have to see how it unfolds, but I didn't like it. And I
Yeah.
didn't like the reason for it just being because
Yeah.
either. Like, use her for your good. Like, Sari has also proven that she's a player that, unfortunately, to her detriment, allows, people with honestly D's archetype, thinking like a Parvati or an Amanda, the
Yeah.
strong but also, woman positive
Yeah.
person, being a duo with them. I feel like D is kind of missing an opportunity to be her Parvati this
Yes.
season.
Yeah.
Go deep with her and then see how it happens, and then ultimately just try to beat her in the end. You know that you can beat her in challenges, that you can probably find idols, that you've won before, so you
Yep.
have that like incumbency, on your side. So I don't know, but I didn't like
Yeah.
it.
I no,
I know
I
that was a
agree with
lot.
you. I agree with you. And
Yeah.
I think the big thing here also with this is I somebody commented this on one of my videos, and
Hmm.
I was thinking about it, but they put it in a really good like wording. They worded it well. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
basically said like physical meat shields are we see all of the time, and we people keep that in mind. Oh, you're a big strong person.
Mm,
People are always
I
going
know
to want
exactly
to
what
go
you're
for
about to say.
you,
Hmm.
but no one ever thinks about keeping a social shield around. And Sari
Ex-
is a social shield. And
exactly.
D is a very social player. Like when you have a loyalty game like that, like D played, that's because
Yeah.
you're a social person. People like
Mama
you.
J.
Exactly.
Like, why wouldn't you think of Suri as a Mama J?
Exactly.
Like, they were a pair the whole time, inside of a quartet, but like
Yeah.
still, like, I yes.
So
I
we'll see if it, we'll see what happens. I really
Mhm.
hope that they can find a way to work together. I think they're really cool and it'd be a really fun duo to watch. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes me worried for D.
It does, like, and I don't want to see her go early, like,
Yeah.
because of just like, oh, I'm trying to get out Suri. Like, okay, like, um, what was the dang, the lady that ended up getting Sandra, and she was like the
Denise.
queen slayer, Denise. Yeah, if you pull a Denise, okay, cool. But Sandra won twice without there being a Denise.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's like, can you really like catch the timing and the momentum of the game? And then having a Suri kill on your resume, is that beneficial if you're already a winner?
Yep.
Um, no, because the Queen Slayer, like, we got to get you out next,
Yep.
because at the end of the day, like, you're starting to build that resume, which is, ultimately what people don't like for the end.
Exactly.
So I feel like it's just, there's so many reasons why it's
Yeah.
bad. I just hope that it was just a conversation they had and it's not really acted upon until later.
Yeah. Now, before we go into previewing episode 4, I want to talk
Hmm.
about Q here for a moment because I
Right.
was really sad to lose Q. You brought this up earlier in the episode.
Yeah.
He's a great confessionalist. He's so good at the game. But I did want to shout out, like, I think that people, including myself, really were underestimating the amount of gameplay that he was going to bring to the season. And
Mm,
had he not lost his vote and had he not been swap screwed, which actually he wasn't really swap screwed on paper. He was actually in a pretty
mm-mm.
good swap on
Yeah.
paper. But had it not been like, if he didn't lose his vote, I think
Hmm.
that he was playing a very good strategic game. I think he got unlucky with the Kyle Medivac, but you think
Yeah.
about how he played. He wasn't there on the first day, right?
Right.
He went to exile, and yet
Exile
he was
Island.
still the center of that alliance. Before, I
Yeah.
mean, him and Kyle were probably like the center, but he got brought in immediately, and then he
Right.
brought in Rizzo. He was playing a great game. How did you feel about Q getting voted out here?
I hated it. I one as somebody who went out never having voted,
Mm-hmm.
um, not having a vote in Survivor is the worst feeling you could possibly have ever. So I empathize with him on that, but also just seeing how everything kind of unraveled for him in a second, and knowing that he wasn't going to be the wiser of it, it's always kind of like a rough
Mm-hmm.
way to go. And even at the end, I forgot who said that, like, they took the credit for it and it wasn't even them. Who was
Oh,
it?
that was weird. Okay, wait, no, I
That
have
was
something. That
weird.
was Ozzy and
Ozzy,
Coach. I
yeah.
mean, not Coach. Q talked about that, and
Mm-hmm.
apparently, when Q asked, "Did you do this to Ozzy?"
Yeah.
Apparently, in real life, Ozzy said no, but the
Yeah.
subtitle said yeah. So
Okay.
that was like a
Okay.
weird. But Q in exit interviews said he actually, Ozzy actually said no.
Interesting. See, production. Because I was like, why would he say yeah? Because that ultimately, like, that changes. Like, if somebody's already going to Ponderosa,
Right.
the last thing you want to do on their way out is lie.
Mhm.
Like, they're already out the game. It is what it is. And everybody that's sitting there obviously voted Q, except for like onesie twosies.
Right.
So there's no justification in it. So I felt like he had a lot more game in him,
Yep.
going back to Q, and I I'm ultimately sad to see him go, but I am kind of happy to see how it's going to kind of like change the tribe dynamic with him being
Mm.
gone. Stephanie is like, what is she gonna do? What is Ozzy gonna do? How it's gonna create a lot more like plot, I guess you could say, with Q being gone, because he
Right.
does take up so much space. Um, but yeah, ultimately I wish that he would have went out in a different way.
Yeah,
Just
I
like with no
agree.
vote and Exile Island and everything. Like,
I didn't actually even think about all of the parallels. So for those of you who are
mm-hmm,
watching and listening, we talked about we Sabaya agreed to come on before the season started. So
mm-hmm,
and obviously we don't know how the episode is going to turn out. Um,
right.
and to think about the amount of parallels that are here between your exit and
Mm-hmm.
Q's exit. because obviously it's the third voted out, but also
Yeah,
neither of you got to vote the entire season.
the
Neither of you got
entire
to vote
season.
on the when you get voted out. Like that is a
Yeah.
really I hadn't put that together until you brought that up.
Now, there's like an aspect of like your thought process that just isn't, you're so paranoid
Hmm.
without a vote. Like, and I feel like people don't really take that into account. Like, you're having to think 4 or 5 steps ahead because you don't have a vote. You can't trust anybody. And even if the people that you feel are with you are really with you, you know that you're ultimately just at the whim of whoever is saying that they got
Yeah.
you. And it's Survivor.
Yep. Yep.
So like when people are like, oh man, you should have just done this or you should have just done that, it's like, bro, like I'm telling you, like the whole not having a vote thing, the same way as not having Flint, it changes the game in such a way
Yeah.
that like you really just have to live it to even understand it because it's such a new aspect that even
Yeah.
takes place right now. So I really empathize with you. I feel like we kind of have a similar record now because
Yeah.
at one point I think I was like the only person to go 3 tribal councils no vote.
Yeah.
So I'm sad to, add him to my crew, but
Oh
it's it's not his fault.
no.
I feel like,
And
ultimately he should be happy with his edit. He should be
yeah, I
proud of
agree.
himself.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think, some people are blaming him a bit about, how him going to Mike White and saying, hey, you should vote for me. Because it's kind of
Mm,
what he did in season 46, right? In 46, a couple of
hmm.
times he asked people to vote for him.
Right.
They didn't ultimately. I mean, they didn't until they did. But but here he goes to Mike and he goes, hey, vote for me and don't vote for Stephanie. And people are like, that's so dumb. I
Hmm.
I have a friend, Ryan Irwin, who makes TikTok videos about Survivor and Big
Hmm.
Brother. And he basically was like, I feel like this is not as bad of a move as people were
Mm-mm.
talking about. Because if you
Hmm.
think about it, Q doesn't have a vote. Nobody knows that except for Ozzy, that we know. I don't think that anybody else knows except for Ozzy,
Right.
that Q doesn't have a, or no, okay, wait, no, Stephanie knows. No,
Stephanie
they know.
knows.
They know.
Yeah.
But I don't, do we know if Mike White knows? I can't remember.
I don't think Mike knew.
Yeah, I don't think Mike knew
But
either.
I agree with you. I don't think it was a bad move at all because he's really just trying to mess with the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, if Mike throws his vote, on cue, and it's an agreed upon thing, usually if you see your name on parchment, you're not expecting it,
Right.
or you are expecting it and you're like shitting bricks,
Yep. Yep.
But with this case, he's like, just make it to where you're throwing it on me, because you just think that I'm a strong player or whatever. However, we have to kind of beef it up, just like a Kyle and Camilla acted like they were enemies for a little bit.
Yep.
Whatever, we'll make something up, but at least now we have a chance with our 3 or our 2 people versus these people or whatever.
Right.
Like he was just trying to shake up the numbers. Doing it without a vote is very risky.
Yeah.
Like I will say, like they're not wrong to say that, but I understand the initial like
Yeah.
mindset that he was going for because ultimately votes are numbers, and if you can sway somebody's number or have them waste their number, it does matter.
Yeah. I'm so sad to see Q go, but I think he played a
Yeah.
great game. And you know what I think happened? I think I kind of feel like this way with both Kyle and Q. I think that
Hmm.
they're obviously with Kyle with the medivac. I think that
uh,
he has a blank check written to come back basically at any point because he was
yeah.
so well positioned in his tribe. Like I think that it would not shock me to see him back. But same thing with
Right.
Q. With Q, I mean, production loves him, fans love
Hmm.
him. And I
Hmm.
think that it would not shock me if he gets brought back, in 2 or 3 seasons because we want more Q.
Yeah, I mean, Q is one of those people that it's just like people that hate him still want him to play. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Because he adds so much like character to the season. You either
Cancel
love to
Christmas.
hate him or you love to love him. Exactly. He has those catchphrases that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I feel like he would definitely be like somebody that people want to see back.
Mhm.
Kyle, ugh, I hated everything about that.
If I talk about it, I'll get too
Especially
emotional.
right, like especially even coming from the athlete space, like I've seen so many careers end from Achilles or a
Yeah.
ACL tear or whatever. So um I was just like we were in New York when we saw all that and it was just rough, but I definitely feel like those two slots, like you're right, they definitely deserve another chance. And especially with Q having gone out, no vote, and still having such a big impact on the season pre-merge. Man after my own heart. I
Mm-hmm.
really hope that he stays in the discussion
Yep,
for sure.
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so let's preview episode 4 a bit here. I'm going
Hmm.
to read the synopsis
Okay.
for the next episode, and we'll talk about that for a bit. So, this says castaways help pass the time on their beach by hosting the Survivor 50 talent show. Another boomerang idol is discovered, and players must decide whether to send it to an ally or an adversary. Then, the
Mm.
biggest reward of the season is on the line as tribes compete for immunity and a special afternoon with country music star and Survivor superfan Zach Brown. So we're getting our first celebrity cameo, not just by name, but by
Hmm.
him being there. And it also looks like somebody else finds a boomerang idol. So that's going to be really
Right.
exciting to see. What's your thought, your initial thought after you hear that synopsis?
It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. The idols are starting to become a plenty. Now
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be like what, three,
3
four,
now. Yeah, it'll be the third
three.
one.
Okay, so that's obviously like I'm somebody that like if idols are involved, like I definitely love how the dynamic is. I love that there's a point in the game where somebody that is in your alliance that gave an idol to somebody else. Now your target is the person you gave the idol to try to blindside them to get your idol back. That's what I'm ready for as a
Mm-hmm.
fan. The blind sides, I'm super excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
So hearing that there's going to be another opportunity, it kind of introduces another storyline for that for myself, because we talked about Christian, them giving it to Aubrey, who
Mm-hmm.
is somebody that is a challenge beast and strategic player and everything. It We didn't really talk about it, but they could see it where she's more likely to be somebody that is targeted, like we saw
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany tell her about them gunning for her last episode.
Mm.
um but had she not been told and she did end up at tribal council and she did go home, that is going back to Christian.
Yep.
So there is that aspect too. So I don't know, my bracket and everything, when I'm like assessing, I hope that it doesn't go that way for Aubrey, but I like the fact that there's another opportunity for that with another idol being
Yeah.
discovered. Yeah.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I think this is also an interesting synopsis because it doesn't tell us a lot
Mhm.
about what happens in the game. It tells us a lot.
No.
It tells us about a reward and it tells us
Yeah.
about something that happens at camp, which is just a talent show that it seems like the players are just doing themselves. So we don't really hear
Yeah.
about any betrayal, or all we hear is that there's an idol. So that's good. That's kind of interesting about that.
Hmm.
Also, I want to talk about Zach Brown here for a second because
Okay.
I don't hate, and this is going to be a hot take, I don't hate this idea of involving celebrities in the game. I just think they're
Okay.
choosing the wrong celebrities.
I agree. And
Why
like,
are we choosing singers? Why are we
where
choosing
was this
singers?
energy when Sia was literally giving thousands of dollars to, her favorite players? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, if you're gonna be including somebody in the show, bring Sia out
Bring
here to the
Sia, yeah.
island. You know what I'm saying? Like, bring somebody that as Survivor players, we like love because of the innate connection when it comes to Survivor. They've
Yeah.
been like an overt fan, like we've seen them on TV talk about the show or whatever. So
Yeah.
the Zach Brown, I mean, obviously, he's obviously a big deal, but
Yeah.
for me, it would be kind of like, yeah,
I just think I just think it's not a very good reward because what's the reward
hmm
here? He comes to camp and he sings.
sings
Like,
the
okay,
song,
cool, I guess. That's
like,
not an
girl, we
interesting
haven't
reward for
eaten.
yeah. Bring out a celebrity chef. Why
Right.
aren't we bringing
Oh,
out a celebrity
like
chef?
Kristen from
Yeah, like
Top Chef. She
Kristen.
just was on Traders. Yeah.
Or
Bring her out there.
there's that new CBS show called The Culinary
Hmm.
Cup. Bring
I
out the
just
host.
watched. Yeah,
Like,
Padma.
why
I love her.
bring out
Yeah.
a chef? Why are we bringing
Yeah.
out, or like bring out Bear Grylls? Bring
Oh,
out like
that would be so
bring out
dope.
celebrities that
Yeah.
actually would be able to enhance a reward. Why are we bringing out people and naming things after people, yes, who are super fans, but
Right.
he can't really help the show.
I
He
agree.
can't really help the players.
I agree. I agree. Like, is Billie Eilish a huge deal? Do I love her music? Yes. But is Billie doing anything for me realistically? No. You know, like she is, but there are, I love your opinion to where like there are fans of the show
Yeah.
who could be teachers,
Yeah.
you know, for us, who could actually help us. There are other shows that we love, like Alone and like
Yeah.
um freaking Outlast and everything. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I agree. Maybe they shouldn't have gone so far into the fame light.
Yeah.
Like even when you talk about Island of the Idols, where they had Sandra and Boston Rob at, you know, the island where they could teach them how to build this or build that, or, you know, make this or make that. They could have kind of just like merged those two ideas together and made
Hmm.
it like a civilian person that's never played, but still could have added something to their toolbox.
Yep.
I love that. I love that. I
That's
didn't
my
even
hot
think about that.
take. That's my hot
Yeah,
take.
that was good.
Now,
That was good.
I want to talk about one other thing. So
Hmm.
essentially we see there's the photo of Zach Brown standing there. We see two idols on that podium. So it
Hmm.
seems like again only one tribe is going to tribal council. Now it's a 26-day game. We have 24 people playing, which is 6 people more than we typically have in a
Yeah,
26-day game.
double elimination.
Are we going to get a double elimination
It's
soon? Because it
coming.
doesn't seem like
I
it's going to
called
happen next.
that. Yeah, that's on my, like, when I say the brackets and the storylines
Hmm.
and everything. I have included at least one double elimination,
Hmm.
and I don't know if it's going to be like two tribes or if
Hmm.
it's going to be like a individual, you know, situation where they like switch it up, because that's never happened either. They've never gone from having challenges where people are like competing together and then going to individual and then coming back to competing
Hmm.
together. And then they've never had necessarily like double immunity, double eliminations. They've done like the two tribal councils in one night thing.
Yeah.
So we might be seeing something of that. We'll see, but
We'll see.
I don't know, with it being the hands of the fans, and lately it seems like it's just like how much can we make this suck for them, you know, which is valid, you know, like
Yeah.
if you had your way, I'm sure everybody when they were filling out their little questionnaires had a little bit of like evil villain energy. So yeah, I'm definitely seeing double elimination in
Yeah.
some type of way, some type of fashion.
I just what like I feel like it's gonna happen. It's gotta happen soon. If it's not next episode, then it's gotta be the episode after that, right?
Yeah, for sure. Or like when they do the final merge, they're gonna take out like a bunch of people
Yeah.
before they get, you know, like the mergatory or whatever. Like that's another opportunity for them to just kind of like clean house. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So they have a couple more ways they
That's
could
true.
do it. I just hope that it's in a way that gives people their dignity and it's not nothing random. You know, sometimes like certain challenges can be a little bit like
Random, yeah.
random. Like I don't want it to be anything like that. That would
Yeah.
really disappoint me as a fan. But it give me, that's why I was saying like individual challenges where if they bring like kind of like a mergatory type energy like
Yeah.
earlier than they were supposed to, like they did the swap at this episode instead of like usually it's one more
Right.
episode until you get a swap. So I feel like they're kind of messing with the timeline and they're kind of
Yeah.
playing around. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see, but
We'll see.
if not double tribal councils, it'll definitely be like at the merge, they're gonna like do like however many people they need to make it make
Yep.
sense. That's what it's gonna be.
Yep. Now,
So
I have two more questions really here
uh-huh.
nearing the end of the pod. First
Okay.
thing, who are you worried for next episode? Who do you think you're the most nervous for to leave the game?
Uh
I'm nervous for Genevieve,
Man,
but I've also been
it
nervous for
better not
Genevieve
be
for like every
Genevieve.
single episode.
So when I have, okay, you're right. Okay, so I count confessionals when I'm
Hmm.
doing this, and you're right. Genevieve has been getting a lot of time, which can be good, can be bad. I know for
Hmm.
me, I had like 25 or 27 confessionals in only 3 episodes. So that was like, people were like, oh, she's the winner arc. It's like, no, they're just trying to give me my time before I get on out of here, you know? So knowing that that can be the situation, we saw a lot of Q, he went
Yep.
early. We saw a lot of Kyle. He went first episode.
Yep.
We Sari. I'm really worried about Sari just as far as
Mm.
that aspect. However, she also is Sari. So there are
Right.
some people that are just going to get that. Like Coach, I don't necessarily see him going early, but I see him being like somebody that they keep consistent because he's a great monologuist.
Mm-hmm.
So is Sari. So their numbers can kind of throw you off. But I guess hearing her name come up, Sari,
Mm-hmm.
with D and Jonathan, I don't see them losing
Mm-hmm.
realistically anytime soon. So I feel like that kind of keeps her security tight. But for whatever off chance they do, I'm worried for her
Mm-hmm.
just because they brought that up out of nowhere, being the freaking Olympian level people that they are.
Right.
Like D and him are like very, very high elite athletes. I don't see them losing. And they're just like casually talking about getting Suri out.
Yeah.
Big red flag. Tiffany going to tell Aubrey about what everybody was saying about getting Aubrey out. Um, that made me worried for Tiff a little bit, just
Hmm.
because numbers wise, there was Genevieve seemed to have everybody kind of chanting Aubrey's name,
Mm-hmm.
like get her out. And then Tiff was just like, I like Aubrey, which I love my girl. And she just went and told her. So that made me a little bit worried for Tiffany because it could
Mm-hmm.
be a great move with you siding with Aubrey, but Genevieve had a couple of bodies, you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
like on
Yeah.
her team. So that could be a numbers issue for
Yep.
Tiffany. But if it's not bad for Tiffany, it could end up being bad for Genevieve just because that's the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, we'll see. But those two, Sari and Tiffany, I was a little bit worried this particular episode just with those decisions.
Now, who do you think is setting themselves up well for the next episode?
Oh, Mike.
Yeah,
Um,
I see that. I think
like
Mike. I think Mike. Absolutely.
yeah, Mike is playing a great game right now, and he ain't even really having to do much either. Like I know that he's not worried, he's not going to bed, with any type of like heat on him at all, which is kind of like weird, but it makes sense for his seat. He's got the David and Goliath,
Mm-hmm.
numbers on his side.
Yep.
He's got Q telling him, "Hey, bro, put my name down. It's cool."
Mm-hmm.
So that just goes to show you how good of a social game Mike White is
Yeah.
playing. Like
Absolutely.
Q told you write his name. Like what? That's that's insane in general.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I know that Mike is sitting pretty. I feel like I don't know who you think. You might help me
I
remember
mean, I think
somebody
Mike
else.
White. I think Mike White. I think Christian set
Yeah.
himself up pretty well. I think he's got a good alliance over there. Like, I think that he's
Hmm.
pretty good. And I think that Rick, I think that those are the three that are the ones that are drawing me the most to
Yeah.
them. But yeah, so I think it's those three, honestly.
Right,
Right?
right. I think Rick too, especially because now he is also on the team with Sari.
Right.
And so like we said, we were talking about social meat shields. He, even though he's Rick Devens, I don't know why, but Sari has a bigger target than he does.
Yep. Yep.
And he knows of an idol and she does too, but it's kind of like he's been running, his own show. So I don't know. That whole thing is kind of weird. But yeah, I feel like Rick is playing an outstanding game.
Yeah.
Christian, he kind of had a misstep with the Emily thing. I'm nervous to see if that is going to make him like play a little bit more paranoid than
Right.
he needs to. So that's why I wouldn't throw Christian in there. Just that misstep with Emily on the mat, like
Hmm.
that, it could snowball.
Yeah.
But definitely Mike and definitely Devins.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
Sabiyah, this has been absolutely amazing. I love
yeah,
your
this was
takes.
cool.
You are so you just have such good takes, and you are so well versed in the game. And I think this was
Oh,
such a fun
thank
chat.
you,
So thank you so much for
thank
coming
you.
on. Where can the people
No, this
find
was
you?
amazing.
Where can they follow you on Instagram? What's the spot?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at underscore the solar, like your soul poppy. That's pretty much it. Well, actually, I'm getting a food review page. I just moved to New
Oh,
Orleans for those of
cool.
y'all that don't know. And I love to eat, and also love to cook, being Southern and also being West Indian. My dad's Jamaican. I cook a lot. So being in a culinary city, I'm just like
Great.
trying to like take photos and post and tell you guys where to come when you come down to NOLA. So it's called Food by Baya
Okay.
on Instagram as well. You can follow me on there too.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Sabiyah. And thank you all
All
so
right.
much for checking this out and listening. I'll be right back here next week with an incredible episode. I believe next week is Sophie Segretti from season 49.
Ooh.
So that's going to be really,
Okay.
really fun. So
Period.
I know, right? So thank you all so much for listening. And I'll see you right back here next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.